Hello, Yes But Why listeners. This is your host, Amy Jordan. Welcome to Yes But Why, episode 289, with my guest this week, comic Kat Ramzinski. But first, let's talk about our sponsors. Yes But Why podcast is sponsored by Audible. Sign up today for your 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/yesbutwhy. Get a free audiobook download as well as access to hundreds of books and podcasts, including this one. You can listen to Yes But Why through the Audible app. Go now to audibletrial.com/yesbutwhy to sign up and get your account today. Yes But Why podcast is also brought to you by podcastcadet.com. Podcastcadet.com is the company that my husband Chris and I run to help podcasters. Whether you need help with marketing or distribution or editing, we can be there for you. Mention code YBY20 and you'll get 20% off the first service or workshop you buy. We can help. Podcastcadet.com. Yes But Why podcast is also brought to you by True Hemp Science. True Hemp Science is our resource for vegan-friendly whole plant extract CBD oil. Only the best stuff for us. Only the best stuff for you. Check out truehempscience.com to see all the CBD products available to you now. Use code YesButWhy7 and get 7% off your order of $50 or more. Plus, you'll get a free packet of 2 CBD edibles with your order. truehempscience.com. This week on Yes But Why, I chatted with stand-up comedian Kat Ramzinski. Listen in as we chat about writing comedy, meeting her heroes, and the wild ride that is her musical comedy/hip-hop persona, Versace Kolache. I now present to you Yes But Why episode 289, Kat Ramzinski's wild stories and boundless energy. Enjoy! I'm Amy Jordan, and this is Yes But Why podcast. Yeah.
Like, my grandma fucking loves the Pope. She's like, I touched the Pope in 1985. Like, she's like, she loves the Pope. It's like Pavarotti, the Pope, and David Alan Grier. Those are like her top 3.
David Alan Grier?
She fucking loved In Living Color growing up.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Very stern, serious woman, was a military nurse her whole life, trained to be a nun, taught at a Catholic school. Fucking straight up loves Men on Film. That was her favorite. You remember that?
Man, that is so funny. I loved that show. I mean, was In Living Color and your grandmother's obsession with it your first, is that the first time you noticed comedy?
No, the first time, I mean, yeah, but no, like, it was 2 things. Like, so I grew up in a house of all women and one dude, and it was my mom, my 2 aunts, one of which she was 16 and the other was my age when I was like 4 or 5. This is the earliest memory of comedy, I guess. And then it was my grandma. So it was me, my mom, my 2 aunts, my grandma, all in a house in San Antonio on the south side. And then my grandma started dating a soldier she was taking care of because she was divorced from her second husband. So, like, my mom and it is too confusing. Anyway, lots of women. My grandma's dating a dude my mom's age. He becomes my grandpa, so that's fun. And then my aunt is my age, so she's like my sister. It's a very 80s vibe. Sure. Anyway, it's all women, and what's interesting is, George, my I guess step grandpa, he's a military guy, and at the time he was 20. And my grandma was like 36 or 40 or something. And I just remember, like, he always played Beavis and Butthead, and he would record it on VHS, and he'd replay it for us with the music videos when we were little bitty, and we were obsessed with Beavis and Butthead. Like, like, we would all do the laughs. He thought it was funny too, 5-year-old little girls are like laughing like that, loving Beavis and Butthead. And he was from the Valley, so he would go back to Brownsville to visit family. He'd record it all and bring the tapes up. So all the commercials were in Spanish, and I will never forget this commercial from the 80s that was like, Los Cuatros Reyes, come on down for Levi jeans. And I like memorized these commercials, and I thought the commercials were hilarious. I thought the music videos, but Beavis and Butthead was my shit. And my grandma would watch Saturday Night Live, which came on late, and In Living Color, which had Homie the Clown, Homie Don't Play That. And I think I know she got annoyed at the amount we watched Beavis and Butthead. And then she's dating a guy who's also loves Beavis and Butthead. So I imagine this got on her nerves a lot, but she also liked it. But I remember her kind of weaning us more onto Saturday Night Live from that. Like, okay, like turn this off and then you can come watch this. And so we'd go in her bedroom and sit on the floor, and she'd sit on the bed and we'd watch SNL late at night. It was like the treat.
Yeah.
And I remember like the Michael Myers, Adam Sandler, Chris Farley years. And I mean, I remember she would play old stuff if we had it, because back then you had VHS and stuff. But like she would record a lot of them. I don't know why, but they recorded a lot of shit on VHS. We just rewatch it all the time. And I remember seeing my first Gilda Radner sketch and being like, that lady's crazy. Look at her hair. Like, but the person, like, it was basically Beavis and Butthead. And then it was Saturday Night Live and In Living Color. But the biggest thing that influenced me was in the summers, I'd go to my aunt's house. I remember the first thing I ever saw that was comedy was Beavis and Butthead and that. But then that exact summer, I was like 4 or 5, my aunt was watching Kids in the Hall.
Oh.
And that's what fucked me up. That was my shit. Like, that's the moment I was like, whatever these men in dresses are doing, I want to do something like this.
Yeah.
And then it was so like above my, not pay grade, what's the word? It was so like just too old for me, for my age, but I loved it. And I loved this show called Soap. That was just like a funny.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Soap. And so
Soap is a classic. Wow.
Oh, so good.
Like, and everybody that was in that show, whoever cast that show, had an eye for famous people, because everyone emerged from that show and was famous. Like, that was such a big deal.
My mom would come home and she'd turn on, like, as our treat, like, okay, I'll let you stay up and we'll watch this. We'd sit there together and we'd watch, like the BBC comedies that came on PBS.
Oh, yeah.
And my favorites were Are You Being Served with Mr. Humphreys. And then I remember Hyacinth, The Bouquet Residence. Can't remember the exact name of that one. Keeping Up Appearances.
Yeah.
And then we watched a shitload of the young ones, the punk guys. And then we'd watch Mr. Bean. And those were like, so it was British comedy, In Living Color, Kids in the Hall, SNL, Beavis and Butthead. That was like my whole childhood.
Wow, that's amazing. What a beautiful breadth of like comedy programming. And it's very classic to, our generation, as we were discussing.
If you want to get into the serious shit, like when I seriously like fell in love with it, I was probably 10 or 12. And I was obsessed with Janine Garofalo, Dennis Leary, and George Carlin, and The Amazing Jonathan, and Judy Tenuta. Those were my top 5. It's all I watched. Like I would, and my mom had albums of George Carlin, and I would play it over and over and over. And I would try to bait her into the jokes he'd talk about. And I'll never forget my favorite one. The first joke I ever like repeated that I remember is George Carlin told a joke about how when you're small, when you're a kid, you're little and no one notices you. You can't get away with things. And so every once in a while, it's fun to slip in a bad word. And then he'd say, but then your parents are going to threaten you. They'll say, I'll wash your mouth out with soap, which is what my grandma used to say all the time, And so I related to that. And I would laugh so hard at that. Like, yeah, Nani says that. Then he'd say, and then as a child, you say, well, I'll blow bubbles out my ass. And I would laugh so fucking hard, dude. Like, that was my favorite joke. And so I'd run in and I'd go, fuck or shit. And then my grandma I'll wash your mouth out with soap. And then I'd scream, I'll blow bubbles out your ass. And she'd chase me.
Oh my God.
That maybe happened like twice that I remember in my whole life.
That is so funny. I love that you like took this joke and you were like, let's see if it really works.
I loved it. I loved it so much. And then Amazing Jonathan, I just liked everything about him. And then Judy Tenuta, her accordion, her voice. Everybody would call me annoying because I talk a lot. And as a kid, I had a very I think a whiny voice. So like I related to her. All the comics I liked as a kid, I felt like I related to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good group. I mean, certainly there are like a lot of sort of sweet quirkiness that like when you're a kid, a lot of people sort of give you a hard time for. But, you know, when you're older, it's a little easier. Or I guess, to be honest, when you're in your 20s, it's real charming. And then you get older and they're like, aren't you in your 30s? Shouldn't you have like a real job? So like there's a back and forth, you know, it's like you're a child. You're not allowed to make jokes. I loved Dennis Leary. Like you saying Dennis Leary, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. And Janine Garofalo.
Oh my God.
Like, can I just tell you that the first show I ever saw, the first comedy show I ever saw in Austin when I moved here, and this is not that long ago, I moved here 13 years ago, was Janine Garofalo. And I was like, I can't believe I'm literally standing in a room with Janine Garofalo. It was like so amazing.
I see her at comedy shit here and there. Like it's been a few years, but I've seen her at a few festivals where everyone's talking to her. Like I shake. Yeah. Like, and I could be, you know, what's funny is I've accidentally been around super famous people and not known it. Right. And then like, they're like, oh, that's so-and-so. And I'm like, what? Like, it just totally over my head. Like, I remember one time, like Seth Meyers was right by me. And one time John Mulaney was behind me and said hi. And I just didn't know who any of them were. But then like, I saw across the room, I'll never forget seeing Kevin Thompson. I mean, oh my God, I can't even.
Kevin McDonald, yeah.
Kevin McDonald and Scott Thompson. And like, just being like, oh my fucking God. Like when I saw Scott Thompson, I lost my mind. And when I saw Kevin McDonald and I heard his voice, it was like, I cried. The biggest freak out I think I ever had though with this, like a comic was Amazing Jonathan. Cause, Bob Khosravi was there and Chase DeRusso. They can vouch. I think I passed out. I don't remember. I literally started bawling so hard that Bob had to like carry me out of Cap City. Oh. And Amazing
Did you like tell him how great he was and then like just fall into a puddle?
I wish I could tell you what happened. I walked up to him again, totally sober, totally normal moment. And I see him and I walk up and I start. Like, have you ever gone to say something and the words don't come out? And in a way you go, did I just shit my pants or have a stroke? Like, what just happened? And then no words. Like, I walked up and I went, and then I just shook. I shook. Like, my whole body started shaking. And I immediately burst into tears. And I went, Tanya's here. I think that's the first thing I got out was Tanya's here. His assistant was right behind him. And I seeing them together, like it was too much. And then I went, I love you since I was kid. Like I didn't form, and he went, it's okay, calm down. I was like, I do comedy too. I'm not that weird. And I remember Bob like, okay, come on. And then I think I felt faint. I might have passed out. I don't remember. I just hyperventilated. I'm outside. And then Bob's like, collect your shit. Are you okay? That's so funny, but calm down. And then Amazing Jonathan I went back in and I remember coming to, and he's like touching my shoulder and saying, come here with me. I'm going to sign this and let's talk. And then he sat down with me and he talked to me for a few minutes.
How nice.
And he's like, I'd like to, anything you want to know. What do you want to know? Let's talk. You're a comic. Like, I don't remember anything he said to me. I don't remember what I asked him, but it was like a 5-minute powwow with your hero and he couldn't have been kinder. And I remember he gave me some advice that I was like, this is going to change my life. And then just fucking out my other ear. It just was I was so shocked. And then he signed a t-shirt and just handed it to me in a bunch of swag, like a bunch of, merch. And he just handed it all to me and it was signed. And I was like, what, how much do I owe you? And he's like, no, just keep it. Oh. And that was the best moment, you know? And Scott Thompson like sat down and talked to me and just was so sincere. Like, but then I've had other people that are my total heroes that have been fucking cons to me. And I'm like, but like I had that moment with them and that reinvigorated my whole life. Like I don't want to say I could die now because I almost have so many times. I don't want to give the world that moment, but
well, not yet.
If life ended now, I will have accomplished as much more than I could have dreamed in comedy just by meeting them.
Oh, no way. Are you kidding me? No,
yeah.
You're lucky I know you because I'm going to say, hold on, right? No way. You have performed so many great shows. You have been working for so many years and entertaining so many people. You should be proud of your own work as well. There have to be people who are going to pass out to talk to you. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I can't, like, it's the type of, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I had this pillow when I was little I called it Heart Pillow because it was just a heart-shaped pillow from Woolworth, but I had it for so long and I loved it so much. And then I guess it got tattered and thrown away one day, but I had it for so long, like almost till college, I think. And I remember like being real sad about it one day. And then I looked up like heart-shaped pillow and I saw a vintage one for sale. And that feeling, I just burst into tears. And I don't know why. I think I was on my period. But I remember thinking, like, that's kind of similar to the feeling of meeting them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But Janine, I can't, like...
Oh, I've never spoken to her.
If I talk to her, I'm just going to go, I love you so much, and then get, like, a restraining order. Like, no.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's best to just keep my distance.
Yeah, I've met a lot of famous people in my day as well. And there have been a handful that I just could not speak to. Like I was at a theater festival and I was in a position I was working on a play and my director asked me if I could introduce him to this playwright that I met. So I was like, oh yeah, sure. I was like, oh, hey, this is so-and-so. And they started to talk. And as they started to talk, I glanced over and realized that the person that was with the playwright when I introduced my friend was David Schwimmer. And I was like, and I stood there and stared wide-eyed at him, and he stared back at me wide-eyed, and neither of us said a single word. And we sat and waited and listened while our friends were having a conversation. They were like schmoozing and like, oh, hey, I loved your play that you wrote. I'd really love to work with you. And they're like shaking hands and like, you know, doing business. And I'm just... Nothing. Never once. Not a single word. I could have been like, hi, how are you? Let's talk while our friends are talking. I am a legit human. Look it. I'm introducing people to people. You know, like, nope. I was like,
dude.
It was the height of Friends fame too. Like it was like right in the middle of it. And I was like, I can't even.
Dude, you just reminded me. You can see me mark out somewhere on the internet. I'll have to find it, but I marked out like a week ago for I did a podcast with Victor Bernardo, and the guests that were on it, it was me and two other comics, and it's like a fast-paced kind of like Q&A style, almost like a game show. You do 3 episodes, and each of the 3 guests is the main contestant for each episode. So we're recording a chunk of that day. I didn't know who the other people were going to be. And I'm looking at one of the guys that's on because this is when I had my iPad with the Zoom on it.
Right.
And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, I recognize this dude. How do I know him? Even his voice, like there was something about him. I was like, this dude, something about, and then Victor said something like, and back when you were in the state, and then I went, and like literally, like, cause we're all unmuted. We're supposed to react to the other person. And he was like the main contestant for that episode. So me and the other girl, Frankie, are like the studio audience, basically. Uh-huh. But we're both like shutting the fuck up until something funny happens and we laugh. You know, we're not playing along, like we're enjoying ourselves. It was a very casual conversation. It flowed very well. But then the second Victor said the state, I'm pretty sure, like, it's all on film, so I'll find it and send it to you. You see me have a meltdown. Like, I went, hold it, wait, oh my God. And then I think I put my hand over my mouth, because I remember I was like, sometimes when I get super nervous, I belch. So I just immediately will cover my mouth. If it's that kind, like I get a bubble, and it's like, it's either going to be a fart or a belch. But if they're just filming your face, you know what I mean? I can blame a fart on the chair, but if I belch, I might puke. Just depends on the level. But I fucking loved the state.
Who was the guy?
It was Kevin Allison, dude.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the gay dude from the state. That was like,
definitely would be the person who, from the state, of all the people in the state, definitely would be the one where I'd be like, oh God, what's his name?
Whoa.
Oh, wait, hold on.
He's the one that I'd be like, oh, the hot ginger guy. Because he was the first ginger guy I ever saw that I was attracted to. And I was a child. It was like him
I loved
Bill
the
Clinton.
state.
It was like him and Bill Clinton and Scott Thompson. Like, it was pretty much all gay men. I just had weird attractions as a kid.
Sure. I mean, yeah. Might as well.
I was super like, he was like, I remember being like, oh, that guy's hot, and not really knowing what gay was. So in my head, It's like, he's attainable. As a child, I was probably like 7. I remember, and like, he was in his prime because he was like, I don't know ages, but I think he was probably like a teen, like maybe going into college, or like a 20-year-old, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, the dudes on the state are hot. I remember having a crush on Michael Ian Black as Johnny Blue Jeans in Viva Variety. Like, I was obsessed. So when I saw it was Kevin Allison, he's on the same show as me, I like went, They had to calm me down. They had to take 5 minutes probably aside from the episode. Like, at one point, Victor's like, okay, we have to, because I could not quit screaming. Like, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
And they got it all on. I forgot that we were being filmed. I was just losing my mind. I was like, I love you so much, and I just want to say that I really appreciate all the work that you do. And I just,
oh my goodness, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question about your, like, we've established that, like, you do comedy. I love it. It's, you know, you've done a lot of shows, but how did you first get into doing comedy? You love it, and I'm loving all of these amazing artists that have inspired you all the time, even recently. But like, how did you decide, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a mic myself and get up on stage?
So when I was in high school, we had like a talent show for this thing called it was called like Banners Across the World or some shit. Like, you pick a country, you study it, you give a book report on it, your parents clap, and then you do a talent. It made no sense. But my best friend, Larry Anderson, who was the only male cheerleader in Floresville High School history, he went up and he did a stand-up comedy set, and he just ripped on the OJ trial. And we're like 13. I just remember being like, damn, that was so good. And he did it like, first of all, this dude looked like a taller, hotter young Sheldon, but also a shorter Prince William, if that makes sense, when he had hair. And that was my best friend. And he was the male cheerleader. Very attracted to him. He was my best friend, but also certain he was gay. Turns out was not. But either way, totally like, great dude. Funny as fuck. Me and him would get kind of bullied, but not really. Like, our whole school, we all just bullied each other. It was so small. We were all farm kids. We were miserable. We just agreed we'll just bully each other lightly and get through it, you know? But he did stand up, and I thought that, like, I literally was looking at him like, that's so brave. Like, he just like blew my mind. And I was hosting the thing because people are like, you're a good speaker and you're not afraid of the crowd. And I was in debate. And he was one of my debate partners. And I remember him being like, I'm going to do stand up. And I was like, well, I'm hosting the thing, so I don't have to do that. And then I watched him and I got jealous. And then probably that week, I remember it was very soon after, I went home, and the preacher's son lived across the street from me, and he's hilarious. His name was Jordan. Another ginger. Had a crush on him briefly when we were in high school. Did not like me back. Anyway, but best friend, regardless, one of my besties. You see a trend here? Anyway, we watched a lot of Whose Line Is It Anyway together. And I remember going home and I think I told him, like, Larry Anderson did stand up. It was awesome. He talked about the OJ trial. I want to fucking do Whose Line Is It Anyway? And we'd get bored and sit on the porch and I'd grab a random object and hand it to him and he'd have to riff on it. And he'd do the same to me. So really my first comedy experience was like doing improv with Jordan on a porch. And then we would practice our Bobby Hill and Hank impressions. And then that year when I went to college, like in 2002, I'd been working at a radio station and I would meet all these voice actors and people who are in radio. A lot of them did like voiceover work and could do accents. And this chick I worked with, she ran the morning show. She would I liked cracking her up by trying to do weird impressions of the prize pigs, the people that would come try to win prizes at all the things. And that's when I was like, okay, I could do some impressions. And I would always do the same ones. Like I would do Meatwad and shit. And then when I got in college, I worked at a Spencer's Gifts because I have a Spencer's Gifts personality. And I worked in a mall hanging out all day with pretty much poor juggalos, but like not juggalo, like poor juggalos. Like they couldn't even afford the ICP shirt. Like that's who I hung out with. And I worked with these types of people. And then my boss was a redneck, like eccentric, like just very, he should have been a stand-up comic. Like he was so funny. And he would always walk around with the blow up sheep that you can put on your waist and it looks like you're fucking it. He'd walk around the store in that with a fucking mullet attached to a trucker hat. And that was my boss. His name was John. He was so funny. And then I worked with my crush, Jesse, who looked like Eminem meets Matthew McConaughey and wanted nothing to do with me after college.
Wow.
But those two dudes, I have to honestly probably credit my whole stand-up career with ever because they would encourage me. They'd be like, especially John, he'd be like, you should come to the stand-up comedy club because there was like this underground shitty one in the mall, I think, or near it. I don't remember even getting there. I just remember we would do inventory and we'd get real fucked up in the back. And I was allergic to booze. So I would drink Benadryl and then drink a Budweiser and just get rip-tard wasted. And we would finish inventory at night. And it was real late. And I just remember showing up and I'm in like this shitty comedy club with like 11 people in it. And then he had left. I thought he was there, but he had left. And there were two other girls from the mall there. And it was just me and them. And I barely knew them. And then I stood on the stage and I think I had just broken up with my boyfriend or something in college, this dude, Chad, and I don't remember, or he dumped me. I don't remember. It was, and I had like gone back and forth to work at the Spencer's like twice or three times and just mall life is shitty. And I just remember being there and being drunk and being really sad and then realizing while I'm holding the microphone, I was supposed to tell jokes and I just puked. It was like that scene in It's Always. Do you remember when Charlie pukes on the microphone?
What movie are you talking about?
And It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh.
When Charlie goes up and he just pukes on the microphone immediately and says nothing.
Oh my God.
Like that, or maybe it was Caitlin Olsen, one of those characters. When I first saw that, I was like, that's exactly what happened to me. Like, that's exactly. And the worst part is I left. And as I was leaving, they were like, you have to pay for this microphone. This guy's like, excuse me, miss. And then I like had to give them $70 or something. They were like, it's a $400 microphone. I was like, you're getting 70. And like, I had to go back there. And I don't remember how you got to it, but it was like near the theater.
Oh my
and like, it was just this little dingy room. And it was so weird. I remember thinking it looked like Fight Club. Because that movie had just come out. This looks like a Fight Club shit.
How possibly did you continue as a stand-up comedian after that was your opener?
Well, because long story short, I came to Austin and I briefly dated this guy, and like about a week into dating, we were like, we are not compatible. And his name's Joe, and then he was like, I'm gonna go do stand-up, and he did it all the time. And I was managing a band he used to manage. And I wasn't really managing good because I used to date one of the members in that band too, who was also his friend. So it was like weird. And I was like, man, I need my thing. Like, I'm tired of like pushing bands and like helping people and trying to make my band work, which never worked. I had like 20 of them. They never worked. And I was just like, man, I'm too controlling for teamwork. Like, I need to, like, if I'm not controlling an entire band or I'm the only person in the band, music's just not going to work for me. Like, this is before I even thought of rap. Like, it never occurred to me. I didn't think I could. And so I was like, comedy, I'm going to try this too. It was almost like I was trying to prove this dude wrong, but he wasn't challenging me at all. He was like very supportive. He's like, you should do it. And I was like, cool. You know, since I'm like in this weird spot and like, you're just my homie now, like take me to an open mic. And I went to watch him and I was like, I could write 3 minutes, and he helped me write 3 minutes. And then I went up and I did it. It went well. And I fucking fell in love with it, dude. And then like he met another girl who's a comic and moved away. And, but he still does comedy and we're still homies, but I feel like he's the one who kind of talked me into it just by making it look appealing. And I remember we went to see him at FPIA, like a big friend group of ours. And by then I'd already done a few open mics, but then I saw Ruby Collins. Like, that's what pulled the trigger for me, was like, I want to be funny like her. And now me and Ruby are like best friends, but it's weird because she was probably the first comic in all, because like all the boys, I didn't admire any of the boys. Fuck all the men. Like, I just wanted to see a woman rip it, and she fucking ripped it. Yeah. So I was like, done. Yes. Okay. There is room for me. And then I just kept doing it. So in a way, it's like utter failure multiple times in Bad Boyfriends, and then meeting a really good platonic friend who was supportive.
I just love that, like, you kept going back to it, though, that, like, so many, like, rough starts. It's just, like, not working out, but you're like, you know, let me try this. And I think it's really interesting that that you were involved with bands. I think that the idea of working with bands or working with groups, like, you know, when you put on, like, a big theater show, you gotta wrangle a bunch of people. You got to do a ton of things. Same with bands. But when you're doing stand-up, you're pretty much just handling yourself. And that is...
You can only blame yourself.
That's a lot better. You know...
It's so much better.
Yeah, I mean, people, especially artistic people, have a tendency to not be so great at, you know, showing up and doing the work that they're supposed to do. So it can get frustrating when you're the person trying to organize that, which it seems like that's what you were doing. So it's, I suppose it's not a surprise at all that you would want to go off on your own.
Yeah, I'm a total control freak. So honestly, when I would manage bands, what pissed me off is I would have a vision for them. Like I managed, and it was always my boyfriend's bands. I managed like 3 or 4 of my boyfriend's bands over the course of 10 years. Each one, like, it worked out a few weeks and then done. One of them might have actually ended a relationship. Cause I remember, like, I'd be like, here's where you're fucking up. And they wouldn't listen. And then everyone else would go, she's Yoko Onoing us. And then the band would fail. And then they go, you know what we should have done? We should have done that thing. And I'd be like, that's what I fucking said. And then we'd all be cool. And that's pretty much how it worked with all of them. So for me, it's like, unless I am literally Jeremy Piven's character from The Entourage, but with actual pull, then there's no purpose for me out there. Because I am a control freak, and I will openly admit it. And I'm one of those people who's like, if you let me mold you, I'll make you great. And the few times people have, it's worked. But what sucks is they get way more famous than me. And then I'm like, fuck, man. Like, if I would have taken my own advice, like, I've had a lot of friends that I've given it like pretty decent advice to, but they were already going to do that anyway. So it's not like I didn't do that. But I remember thinking, like, I should do that. And I just don't. Like, it's with bands, if they fail, then they fail. It's not on you. But if they succeed, then you could take all the credit. So.
Well, you know what, though? It's so much easier to help other people. I feel like I was just talking about this, but, like, it's so much easier to put effort into helping another person with their creative stuff than to do your own thing. I mean, I totally know what you're talking about when it's like, man, if I had done half the things that I've given people advice to do, I'd probably be doing better. But, like, it's just so much easier to, you know, help somebody else because it feels low stakes. You know, it feels like, because I'm not going to get hurt if it doesn't work out for them. Whereas
it's a good cop out. It's a really good cop out. And also because it cops you out of doing your own shit and figuring your own shit out, which it's self-sabotage, but it helps someone else so you don't feel bad about it. Yeah. And the other thing is, I personally have given a lot of bad advice too. So I'm not trying to make it sound like I fucking flip people like houses, but I will say it is an interesting thought. Is it not? Like I used to watch Sally Jesse Raphael when they'd have I was a fat, stupid bitch in high school and look at me now. And then she's just a skinny, stupid bitch. And then you're just like, great. There, she's done it. Look at her. Or like, she's all that. She takes off the glasses. Oh my God, she's not a hag. Like, I remember being like, I want to be the one to be like, hey, take off those glasses, you know? And then they're like, you were right. Like, but you can't do that when you're working with 20-year-old dudes in a death metal band.
You really can't. I mean?
Like it just, they're going to take off their trip pants and all of a sudden get a deal. No. And I remember one of the bands I worked with, one of my boyfriend's bands in college, ended up getting in an argument with the Riverboat Gamblers, accusing them of stealing their equipment like 15 years ago at a high school battle of bands. And then fast forward 10, 15 years, I'm standing there with Mike YBY one day and I go, hey, you remember this band? You remember the Ryan High School Battle of Bands? He's like, yeah. I was like, that was my dickhead homie, my ex, who fucking accused you guys of stealing their fucking bass. He's like, oh yeah, I remember that was you were there. I'm like, yeah, dude, what's up? In Denton, another city, you know what I mean? Love like it. And me and Mike are cool, and it's so funny because I love him so much, and he makes me laugh so hard. But it's like, damn, dude, like how weird is that? That like. That's kind of little things like that are how I know that I should be in comedy. Like, for example, I'll tell you a crazy fucking story. When I was 15 going on 16, like out in my hometown, you could get farmer's licenses and shit to drive. Everyone, my freshman year fucking drove. But I was about to turn 16. I got my learner's permit, but I still had to drive with like my mom in the car, but I would always just take the truck or the car and go to school. And I was leaving school one day and I sped past a school bus with the stop thing out in a school zone with no seatbelt on, no insurance, and not legally licensed to drive without an adult in the car. So I had all of the charges. And it was my my soon-to-be senior year boyfriend's dad, who was the sheriff. He pulled me over. And he was like, yo, I gotta give you this ticket, you know, but since it's your first offense and you're a dumb little kid, you could go to defensive driving. So I remember I picked, cause my mom was like, you don't have the attention span for that. You should go to this comedy defensive driving. So I was like, okay. So, and it was close to like her work or something. I don't remember what the deal is, but I had to go to it and it was comedy defensive driving. I think it was off Parambital Road in San Antonio. And my instructor was Matt Golightly. And I'm 15 years old, and Matt Golightly, he's a comic here. He's my instructor at the time, and he just does a stand-up set, basically, while talking about how you got to be safe. And he points at me, and he's like, pink hair, because I had pink hair. He's like, what are you in for? You're too young. And I tell him, and he's like, she's the worst one in this group. And he just roasted the shit out of me, dude. I was laughing. Everyone in that fucking place was dying. And every day we'd go in, because it was like a 3-day or 2-day thing. And he would just roast on me, dude. And at the end of it, he gave us comedy club tickets for River Center Mall to go see Tom Rhodes. That was like part of the deal. Is you also get comedy club tickets and you get a discount on your insurance and a hit taken off, you know? So I get these tickets and I'm like, what's your name, sir? And I remember him telling me his name and I had a fucking middle school principal named Miss Bloodgood. You know, those are names you remember. Golightly, fucking hilarious to me as a teen. I remembered his name. So I'm like, Matt Golightly's the funniest fucking individual I've ever met in my life. I'm now a good driver because of him, but I'm too young to go to this comedy club. What do I do? So, of course, I'm pretty sure I lied to my parents. I don't even think my mom knew because I thought she went with me. But then I thought about it like, man, I got real high a few weeks ago and was thinking about this a lot. And I was like, fuck no, she did not go with me. I'm pretty positive that I went with this chick that I met on the internet who was just my homie. Because we were both talking to the same guy in a chat room, this teen from Central Catholic High School. And I don't know. Either way, like, we both caught him. Like, yeah, we're like, you're talking to this girl from this school. And then me and her met up at an Atari's concert. We're like, you're cool. You're my friend now. But I think it was her. I just remember I went with someone to River Center Mall, one of my female friends.
Man,
and I saw Tom Rhodes do a stand-up set and Matt Golightly open for him. And he had all the crazy hair because he still had the Tom Rhodes show from HBO. His hair was fucking insane. It was like a fro. And I remember shaking his hand and being like, you are the funniest. And it might have been before the show because we had a dip before it was too late because I had to go home. So I think I met him before the show or maybe just standing outside while he was waiting to go up. But I remember I saw him. I saw Matt. It was amazing. And I saved the ticket. But I was scared. Yeah, my mom definitely did not go because I remember I hid the ticket somewhere and I ended up losing it specifically because I didn't want my mom to find it. I should talk to her about that. I should talk to her about this because I remember, like, there's a dude she dated when I was younger, went on like one date with, and we called him Pizza Face, and he worked at the mall, and I think I saw him.
Like recently?
No, that time I snuck there, and I was like, oh, fuck, James. But anyway, I just remember, like, I saw this comedy show I was not supposed to be at, and then I dipped. And then fast forward 10 years later, and I get booked at the Velveeta Room, and I'm standing there waiting for Dana to cut the lights. And I look around and I realize I'm opening for Matt Golightly and Tom Rhodes. And I stop them and I go, hey, I just realized something fucking crazy. Because it's like a high memory. Like, it's gone, and then when you smoke weed again, it comes back, you know?
I wish that's how it worked for me.
I feel like me and Tom, like, hit the blunt or something, and then it was like, wandered inside, and I took one look at Matt, and I went, you used to teach defensive driving. He's like, we've talked about this. And oops. And I remember being like, oh my God, I was the pink-haired girl in your class. And he seemed like he genuinely remembered me. Because I was fucking trying to roast him back. I was like, you teach defensive driving. I remember that.
You're pretty memorable, I'd say.
I had hot pink hair, and I was like a 16-year-old in there for breaking so many laws. And
you remember that?
It was crazy. I had a No Effects shirt, and I remember he was like, what's Nofix? And then everyone laughed. Everyone laughed, and I was like, fuck you, dude. Like, but I have a very vivid memory of specific events, and it's always when something piques my interest. And I remember I was so into that defensive driving class because it was the first time I got to interact with a real stand-up comic. I was a teen, and I was like, it wasn't my friend at a talent show. This is like a guy who does it. He said he was performing at the club and gave me tickets. Like, to me, that was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And, I remember standing there and being like, yo, check this out. I told them the story, and Matt's eyes got wide, and Tom was like, holy shit, I remember. Because Tom remembered doing that room, I guess, like River Center with Matt. I was like, I was the pink-haired kid. They're just like, wow, this is crazy. And I'm like, this is 10 years ago, like to the weekend, because it was like October or November.
That's amazing. What a connection. What a, like,
and I'm like,
to bring that all together. Yeah. And then you were opening for them. Amazing.
One of the things that I still have somewhere in a box is my ticket that I got that sent me to defensive driving. I made Matt Golightly sign it, autograph it. I still have that somewhere. I don't know if I've even told him that. I don't know if he knows that. I should find it and send it to him.
You should frame it and send it to him.
I should make copies and send one to him and one to Tom. Because it really was amazing. Like, I remember having him autograph it because I was like, you are big shit, dude. And I remember saying to him that I wanted to be a comic. I remember telling Tom Rhodes I wanted to do a stand-up comic. And I don't remember what they said back to me. Because, again, I was a little starstruck. You know, I'm a teen. Yeah. He just taught me how to drive good. Like, damn, this guy's a badass. But I remember being, like, very intimidated and in awe of them. I was in awe of a lot of people as a young kid.
Sure.
And I remember it was like Shawn Michaels and then these comics I met. Like, it was cool. Like, I had him sign this shit thinking, like, I'm going to be just like you one day, sir. Like,
and you did it.
Green,
like legit.
So it was weird. Yeah, at that moment, I haven't videoed, like, my set from that night. And Nancy Reed went up with me the second night, and I have that videoed. And you see a visible difference between the two, because when I went up before, with no dice to Nancy, I mean, no shit to Nancy. Nancy's amazing. But I'm saying I got emotional before the Matt one, because I realized, like, I was standing there and I went, oh my God, like, it clicked. Like, I'm positive. I told them I want to be a comic. Like, and part of me thinks maybe I wouldn't be there because of them. Maybe it goes further back than college, you know, like, because I remember that moment too. So I remember that and being like super into the idea of like, I'm going to do comedy one day. And then it felt so fulfilling standing there. To me, it's like, this is how a wrestler feels when they get to WrestleMania, you know, like, whoa, I'm opening for these dudes. Like, I never follow through on shit, dude. I'm the person who starts, like, I'm going to sew a pillow, and then it's just cotton hanging out of a piece of cloth for 3 months, and then I throw it away. Like, I never finish projects unless I'm really into them. Like, I have to really be passionate. Like, and I feel like following through with that and then getting to see it, like, opening for them who were there that first time, that felt very fulfilling. Yeah. And I teared up a little, and then I had to be like, ladies and gentlemen, here's my pussy jokes. Now I'm going to tell these dudes that I respect about my vagina. Like,
they were happy to hear it, and they've watched comedy. Yeah, absolutely.
I did all the dirty, crazy, shocking shit. Yeah. Good job. But I watch that shit now and I cringe.
Oh, absolutely. But, you know, when you're 20, and when I was, 25, I was in New York City at this open mic. I did a bit one time where I interviewed my boobs. Like, I built a couch out of a bra, and I had them, and I was speaking to them as if they were guests.
And of course you did. That sounds like shit my fucking... someone with Alzheimer's would do.
That's like classic 20-something, though, where you're like, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I'm interviewing my tits today for the radio show.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's hilarious for the radio show. Even better. That would have been hilarious if I just did it. Yeah, I get it. I'd love it.
Just you in a voice.
You doing 3 voices.
Listen, I'm going to remember what I said earlier about improving other people's lives, like giving them ideas, telling them to run with it, and then watching them fly and soar because you know they can. You need to have a radio show called Titty Time. It's just you doing this crazy voice, arguing with yourself as if it's your tits. I call mine Mary-Kate and Ashley, and I always tell people the left one murdered Heath Ledger.
Oh my God. All right, wait. I'm gonna get us back on track here because I want to ask. We've been talking about this amazing moment where you connected with Matt and Tom Rhodes, and like this is this like pinnacle moment for you. And I wanted to ask you, what is it about comedy that you love so much? Like you said, I really do well when I'm passionate about something. Like, what keeps you coming back? What keeps you going and doing comedy over and over and over?
Dude, the money. What are you fucking talking about? What kind of question is that? All the fucking dollars I roll in.
Of course.
I bathe in money. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a millionaire. I'm sitting here. First of all, I'm smoking in my house. That's where I'm at right now. Okay. I'm Florida trash. All right. And I've never even, I don't go to Florida. I'm just living that vibe. So honestly, yeah, kind of the money, like 10 to 15 bucks here and there is fucking dope to just talk shit, right? No, not really. It has nothing to do with the money. Here's what's fucked up. I hesitate to even answer that question because I ask it all the time and then I get really sad. Like, why am I doing this? It's like, I realize I invest a lot of time and effort into not getting paid and into kind of not really getting booked as much as I want to. I always think like I should be doing better. Not that I am better and deserve better, just that I should be doing better. Like maybe I'm doing something wrong, almost like an imposter syndrome. So I'm scared to sit there and go, why am I doing this? Because to me, it's like, that's like saying, what's the meaning of life? Like, I just know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but I can't tell you why. I mean, I've had a lot of concussions, dude.
Okay.
Like, it could just be head injuries. This could be brain damage. Like, that's the answer, brain damage.
I don't know
like,
that brain damage leads to consistent career choices. I just don't.
Brain damage leads to stand-up comedy for sure. For sure. Like, and that's what you asked. You didn't ask about a consistent career choice. I would have told you real estate. Talking about comedy? No. It's brain damage. It's head injuries. It's CTE.
But you have fun when you do it, right?
I'm on the edge of being Chris Benoit. No, I have a blast when I'm doing it and it's going well. But my problem is also maybe, you know what? Too much reflection. Maybe self-sabotage. Because like, if I'm doing fucking good, then I'm living it. I can't sleep for 2 nights. My adrenaline's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like having natural cocaine, but I've never done cocaine. But I'd imagine, I've never done real cocaine. But anyway, I'd imagine it's like, be it like I can't sleep and I'm ecstatic. I want to fucking talk everyone's ears off. I'm like, let's go get a steak. Like, I get very manic. Like, I get so happy. But if it's going fucking terrible and I'm bombing worse than I've ever bombed before, and people are like threatening to stab me, which has happened, and throwing trash at me, which has happened, and lunging at me to punch me, running on stage in San Antonio, whether it be a comic or an audience member, both of those things have happened. I feel almost the same feeling of adrenaline and excitement because it's like, man, I'm fucking this shit up. Like, I'm one of those, if you're gonna pick a direction into the woods, fucking go all the way, baby, you know? So if shit's really fucked up, like, I did a show once at Art Outside where I didn't realize my set was that day and I took mushrooms, and then total accident too. I didn't even want to. I was joking. Someone handed them to me. This was the first time I did it. And they like mushrooms that are outside. I just remember tossing them in my mouth and being like, oh wait, I didn't want to do that. And then I had to do a set, and Lashana, I'll never forget her being like, dude, you got to go up there, but one of the comics isn't here. So can you stretch it? So I was already doing 20.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I'll stretch it. I was maybe 5 years into comedy. And I went up there and I did 45 minutes and murdered. And then a marching band walked through in the middle of my set, like, through the crowd. And then I followed them briefly, got back on stage, rolled around in filth, let a hippie hug me, took a shot of alcohol that gave me hives, and then got off stage. And people were, oh, it's so nice to meet you. You did they loved it. I don't remember what I said at all.
Oh,
I just know that happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I remember feeling like extremely excited, like even as the chaos was going on, because I thought it was an utter failure. But I remember getting more jazz at it. Like, yeah, like the marching band. Like, I remember just getting real like, oh, now this is happening. Like, I feel like when I get mad, not at the audience, at myself, and I really just run it home. Like, if I say a joke no one likes and people are like, you fucking suck, then I'll do a worse one. It's like at that point, may as well really make you fucking hate me. And that's probably my problem, is that I kind of get the same sense of joy from both.
I like it when it's going well. I like it when it's going terrible.
But it's got to
probably
be
good for you.
Terrible. Like music playing through the walls of Esther's while you're filming your special, which happened, and then the fucking video cutting out, and then me just going on a rant about my dad in Hawaii and all this shit. Like, it was horrible. Like, and I had a blast because it was like, that lady hates me. That guy hates me. Like, it was just funny. That is not good if you want to succeed.
Sure.
I have to learn to regulate the urges to really dive bomb some shit, because I don't want to take a nut on the stage for the next comic to slip in.
Sure.
So I like to go, they spelled practically wrong on Six's bio. Anyway, I like to go on, if I'm going on last, I'll fuck it all up. because they've gotten their money's worth by then. But if it's going bad, I'll fucking dive bomb it. I'll kamikaze that shit. But I do like it when the comic before me takes a shit a little and I have to clean it up. Because then that makes me feel very accomplished. I mean, honestly, I don't care. It's all fun. It's all fun and gravy. The only time it's not fun is if I feel disrespected. Sure. Which happens a lot. And that only happens when, like, I've had people go, oh, the woman doesn't get paid, or there's a woman on the show, we didn't book a one. Like, I've had a lot of female shit. Like, people talk shit about being a female. Like, a lot that's, like, so blatant that people will laugh. And then later on when you say, hey, remember when that guy said that? They're like, oh, he didn't say that, or he didn't mean that. It's like, no, he fucking did. It's been burned into my memory for 11 years. And I still secretly stalk him on Facebook using my ex's account just to fuck with him. And I'm going to ruin his credit because I hate this guy still. Because one time he said this shit about how there shouldn't be women on the show because women aren't funny. I still hate him. And like, yeah, he's had 4 heart attacks since. I have no pity. Like, I carry grudges. So, like, I have to, like, back off that shit. Because that'll destroy a bitch.
Man, that must be a tough situation to have to navigate. I mean, you're a tough gal for sure. And I do enjoy, you know, that you're saying that you like it when it goes well or when it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, it's a real boys club in stand-up. And they really let you know. You know?
Yeah, and sometimes it'll get uncomfortable. Like, because they'll say something and everyone will be laughing. And, like, it's uncomfortable for me to see someone be a doormat. Like, take it. And I've maybe let that slide 1 or 2 times. But usually I get to the point where if it's annoying enough, I'm not going to chew them out or bitch them out or cancel them or expose them. But I'm going to make them really uncomfortable in that moment. So, like... I would never go on Twitter and rant like, this is what happened to me tonight. And all props to anybody who does. You fucking have your cancel fest, whatever. My shit is I like to pull them to the side. But like, wow, like it just happened and there's people there. And I say, can I talk to you for a second? Pull them 1 foot away so people can still kind of hear. And then be like, why do you have to make me feel small to make you feel big? Like shit like that. Like really like Full House moments. Mm-hmm. And then right when they're about to feel like shit, say some shit like, you know, my cousin just died. Like just make up some shit to make them feel worse and then leave. It's the Catholic guilt trip shit my grandma would do. I learned a lot from her.
See, my Boston upbringing wants to make them feel bad in the moment. So, like, if someone says something to me, and but I'll take the audience. I don't do the pull to the side thing. I'll just do big like, oh, it is funny to disrespect women, isn't it? Oh my God, it's so funny.
But see, here's the thing. I've done that too, and the reason I don't do that anymore is because then they like to peg you as the crazy girl. Oh, she snapped her. Oh, he got a rise out of her. But if you wait until everyone's... And here's the other thing, is if you do that, then a couple of people in the group are going to go, yeah, that's fucked up and white knight. But if you let it play out in front of you, you get to see how they respond and you get to see them laugh at it too. And that's the real them. So when it's all done, you take them to the side. But when I say the side, I don't mean 10 feet. I mean 1 fucking foot. So it looks like you're being respectful, but also everybody's fucking listening. Yeah. And that's when you say some shit like, you know, I was assaulted when I was 13 or just some fucked up shit. Like whatever they're talking about that upsets you, like, tell them your personal story and be like, I don't know who the fuck you think you are, but you're not going to talk about me like that. And you're not going to make comments. I'm a woman. You were talking about why would you do it? And see, if you do it in front of all of them, then she's trying to make a scene. But if you take them slightly to the side, everyone can still hear you, but they're like, oh wow, she must be really mad because she's not even making a scene about it. Like she's taking him to the side.
Nice.
It feels more like a threat. Alec Baldwin said something very smart on 30 Rock. He said you lower your voice when you want to take control of a situation because it forces other people to listen to you. And I think that there's something to that. I think that when you're a woman, especially, not saying don't be loud. I've been fucking loud as shit. I break all these rules, by the way. But I have had moments where I've tried it, the restraint and the This is what you fucking did wrong. Bad dog. No, hit him in the snoot, get him with the spray bottle, walk away. And it always works. If anything, they're nice after that and then they'll apologize, which fucking trips me out. I've had the biggest pricks do that.
Yeah.
And we're cool now. You know what I mean? But I also worked at a Chili's, and I feel like it's the same kind of environment. Like, everyone's upset. Everyone's fucking each other. No one really likes this job, but they all do it because really they do love Chili's. They want the fucking discount. At the same time, they love the friends they've made here. But at the same time, we all are going to fucking step on each other's toes, get into arguments, get into fights. And sometimes you just got to be real fucking mean to someone to get their respect. And then at that point, you're fine. If anything, you become best friends. But then there's people who they keep doing it and it never gets better. And those are the motherfuckers, like, you just got to walk away from. You not even walk away, like, I'll make them leave. You know what I mean? Like, you leave. Like, I'm fucking here. And if they want to sit there and be uncomfortable, I'll fucking look down at my phone. But, like, I don't like leaving because someone is there that makes me uncomfortable, but at the same time, I kind of like making them uncomfortable if they've done something that upsets me or that I find disrespectful. Yeah,
why not, man? Make them feel bad. Definitely.
Especially, like, there's a lot of comics that will, like, I don't know, like, maybe I haven't earned their respect. I do get high a lot. But either way, like, I feel like there's a lot of comics that, it's more of like an omission. Like they just kind of, people will leave each other out of stuff and we all mistake that for, they don't like me or something. And, that was a big thing for me for a while. I think that's part of the imposter syndrome. I don't know. This is all shit I got to work out in therapy, but I do know that recently, once I hit 35 and my hormones really went batshit crazy, shit no longer bugs me. Like, it literally, like, some guy told me the other day at my open mic that someone called me a cunt. And I can't even tell you who said it because it literally went out my other ear. Like, I thought it was funny because it's like, it's not a bad word anymore. You know, everyone says the C word's like, it's old. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Be creative. But also, I didn't know the person. I remember not knowing who the person was. Like, I just couldn't care less. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Because it's like, dude, my eggs are dying right now. Don't talk to me. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have time for bullshit. Like, and I know that a lot of people like to socialize and shit, but I'm like, man, I've almost been murdered. I, like, don't like beer. I'm not into karaoke. I don't like dancing. I don't like bar environments. I'm just not going to do that shit anymore. I'm not going to go out late at night to a bar I don't want to be at and drink things I don't want to drink. If I'm there to perform, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say bye to everyone. Love you. Take some pictures. Bye. Done. Like, I don't need to, like, I mean, unless there's a good Sellers of Catan game going on and iced coffee, I don't want to go. Unless someone's visiting who I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
But I'm not into that.
So can I ask you, how did you get into the rapping?
Oh, man. Ryan wrote a poop rap called Weird Stools. It was right before we lived together. And then when we moved in together with Cody and Adam, all comics in one house. But I don't remember how exactly, but I said something like, let me write a little verse. And I just wrote a little verse on the end of the poop rap. He let me do it. Or maybe he asked me to. I don't even remember, honestly. But when he put it out, people liked it. And then he had a friend, and I think it's called Space Camp Death Squad, who was like, y'all should come do it, like perform at this show with us. And we were like, our hit song, Weird Stools, about shit? Okay. And then I need another song. We only have like 4 minutes because he had like one other song. I had that one with him. My verse was brief. So then I wrote the Hobby Lobby rap because I just thought it was funny. And people said it was good. Like, that's it. Like, literally, like, people would be like, that's good. You should write another. And then I would, and the view counts would go up, and people were like booking me on weird hip hop shit. And then one night I wrote Kicked in the Pussy because I thought it was funny. And I think I just wrote the song, and people were like, that was good. And then that one got me booked at like actually quite a few shows and then I got to host the Fun Fest rap battle thing because I would also dress up in character.
Yeah.
I always thought juggalos were real funny, but I also thought the girls I grew up with who I was friends with, I thought they were funny. So I was like, I'm going to mix them together. And I would wear like a gold tooth, have big gold hoops, San Antonio. I would gum snap, and just do this character. That was kind of a juggalo, but kind of like, and they just booked me on shit. But then every time I get booked on something, they'd be like, okay, can you do 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Like the time would go up and I'd be like, I got to write another song, I guess. And so I'd like sit there, think, and then write some shit. And then, after a while, we built a home recording studio. And like my dad, my dad and mom, they thought comedy was chill and shit. And they were real excited to get to meet like Thea Vidal and like John Caparulo. They were like, oh, this is great. Kate, you did okay. Like good job, I guess. But like, this is cool, But when I rapped, even though it got like 50 views at that point on YouTube, my dad was like, oh, this is the greatest shit. And he showed, like, my redneck dad was like, he showed it to all his friends. He's like, my daughter's a rapper. It was so weird. Like, cause they're like conservative. And they're like, yeah, look at my daughter rapping about kicking someone in the pussy. Like, they loved it. It was fucking weird. And then I wrote Tecate Rap, but I wanted to make it all just my friends who rapped in comedy because then Vanilla Presley started after that. And I liked them. I like Lane and Pat. So then I wrote Tecate Rap specifically so we could all work together. And they wrote their own verse. Ryan wrote his, I wrote mine. And then I wrote the choruses. And then we hit up this guy, Ryan, who's an improv guy. And we're like, he wanted to film some shit. We're like, do you want to film this? And we put out a call for all our friends to dress up as juggalos and bring hatchets and Faygo and fight each other in the yard. And someone brought a gun. It was fun. And we filmed the video. I bought a grill at the gas station. And then that got a lot of views because of a Reddit post. But then after that, like, I met my boyfriend who's a rapper and we started doing stuff together and making music. And then I did a rap battle at Fantastic Fest 6 years ago. And I lost the first time. And then every time after that, I won. So I'm still the reigning nerd rap champ for Fantastic Fest to this day. But one of the Doug Benson judges it every year, and every year he forgets who I am. And I've opened for him multiple times.
Oh, sure.
I've
sure.
hung out with him a lot, and he never remembers my name or that
he doesn't
I'm a rapper.
Much.
I did the same song for 4 years, and every year he'd go, the song's really clever. I feel like I've heard something similar. I'm like, you know me, motherfucker. Anyway, one of the chicks who like sponsored it is Loot Crate. This chick, Claire. And she gave us like gave me Loot Crate shit for winning the first year. And then she's like, I want to hit you up because we sponsor this shit. Like, I'm going to send your rap video or your songs to my guys and maybe we can hire you for something. And I didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. But then it came to be that she works with like this YouTube production company, but she also works with people, I think, from like Nerdist. But she also works with this chick, Charlie, from Disney. And they make like different YouTube videos for different channels. And she's like, we need a ghost writer to basically write raps for us, for our channel. And it had to be female nerd culture. And then she's like, we wanted to be artificial intelligence rap. And so I was like, oh, Siri versus Alexa type of thing. And I thought it was weird how all the AIs have female names. So it's like, yeah, it's a female cipher, like a rap battle. And then I wrote it. And then none of the people, basically, like, they aren't rappers. You know what I mean? So I had to, like, rap it also. And then record that and send it to them. And they all had to listen to their parts and learn it. And then they made that video where they each do it. And it was pretty good, I think. I thought it was pretty dope. It's just called Siri versus Alexa AI rap battle. It's on Chickbait channel. Within a year, I think it's at 28 million views now.
Whoa.
Yeah. But they forgot to monetize it. So I think I got like $200, but I was grateful as fuck. I was like, fuck yeah, a gig. I made $200, you know?
But at least they didn't make money as well.
Yeah. But then a few months after that came out, it got so huge. And it's because some nerd chick who like, and I'm not saying nerd like making fun of her. Like she calls herself like a nerd. That's like a culture, I guess. Nerd tech or some shit, like vlogger chick or someone. I think this is what I gathered from the comments. She saw it and shared it and said it was fucking dope. Cause honestly, it was fucking lit and it was really mean. Like it was a diss battle between Siri and Alexa. So like I made jokes about like homeboy Steve Jobs dying of cancer and how funny it is. Like from Alexa's perspective, like fucked up shit. Like, and then making fun of Siri for like people jumping out of the factories into nets because they want to die instead of build her microchips. Like it was very like deep cut Scribble Jams type of rap battle. But those bitches loved it. All the feminist bitches loved it and they picked it up. They'd probably hate that I said that, feminist bitches. But anyways, I mean bitches endearing. Sure. I'm a rapper. I could say it like that. But the feminist bitches loved it. Their whole movement picked it up. They were like, oh my God, look at these bitches fighting. We love them. We stand, queen. I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. And then Chick Bait was like, yo, we think you did a good job. Write us another. So I wrote him another. And I don't remember what the fuck happened with that one. Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? I was ahead of my time. Listen to this shit. I wrote one and they're like, whatever you want this time. You know, we trust you because of the 28 milli thing. I'm like, I'd trust me too, dude. And my idea was, this is before the Russia scandal, by the way. Trump has not been elected president yet. And I said, why don't we do a battle of the social media handles? And it's Twitter versus Facebook. And Facebook is just ripping fucking Twitter to shit for having Russian bots on it. And Twitter is ripping Facebook to shit for fake news. And this is when fake news just started becoming a thing.
Yeah.
And they were like, that's a little too political. And it's like, at the time, it wasn't really a big thing, but I would watch a lot of Rachel Maddow. And I was like, no, it's happening. Like, they're about to sweep all these Russian bots. You'll see, like, everybody's followers are going to get cut in half. And guess what fucking happened? Exactly what I fucking said. Same with Facebook. They got busted. They had a trial. Like, Mark Zuckerberg's sitting there looking like a fucking robot. Why? Because I was right. And I said, we should do this. It's timely. It's perfect. It's going to pick up. And they, I don't know why. They just never used it. And then I looked online. I found one that did something kind of similar. It got a fuckload. It got like millions. Not as many as the first one we did, but it was still a lot. And I was just like, fuck. But then they hit me back and they said, we have a friend who works at Nerdist and he needs a parody of Bad and Bougie by Migos. But it's to honor Beauty and the Beast Live starring Emma Watson coming out this fall. And I went, say what? And they said it's a very specific niche, but we feel like you can do it. And at that point, my ego's like, oh shit, I gotta do this now. So then I said, what's Amigos? And I remember Dylan being on the bed behind me going, a friend. And I'm like, no, like, what is Migos? And then they showed me, it's Cardi B's boyfriend. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know this group existed. And then I listened to Ric Flair drip in that Bad and Bougie song 1,000 times. Bad and Bougie because I had to. I wrote the shit. I sent it to them. Everything but Lil Uzi Chip's part they used to verbatim. Everything. And then they hired a chick from Instagram who I don't think had rapped before. She got famous as fuck off of this. But I remember before it was happening, I don't even know if I had this talk with them. I feel like they just vibed so well. They read my mind. But my big thing was I did not want to have a white belt. It had to be a black belt because it was already fucked up. They were doing a remake with another pasty white chick. Like, that's fucked up enough. But to do a live remake with a pasty white chick who can't sing, upsetting as fuck.
Yeah.
If we're going to parody a band or a group, if you will, like Migos, who is the height of Black culture at the moment as far as rap goes. Like, they are, like, I'm not even fucking around, dude. They like rule Atlanta. Like, I didn't know them, and I studied them, and I realized, like, they're a big fucking deal. They're like Drake. Like, you can't just shit on them. They mean something to people.
Mm-hmm.
It's that they're coming up, and there's a lot of people who respect them. So you have to respect them, especially if you're parodying someone. Weird Al said something very important. He said he will never parody a band he couldn't get permission from.
Mm-hmm.
And he always got permission. And he said that the few times that it bordered on it, he always made sure it was flattering or positive, something they'd like.
Yeah.
And I had that in mind the whole time. I don't think Migos would like to see their song parodied by a bunch of white bitches doing fucking dabs at a table surrounded by gold. You know what I mean? While there's a Black dude singing, like rapping, like, cause originally, like, it was going to have to be the Beast or Gaston. Like, in my eyes, judging by how it was done, like, that's offensive. That's like saying that Black guys are beasts or something. You know what I mean? It just,
yeah.
It seemed so fucked up to me that they weren't not Nerdist, but that Disney wasn't being more inclusive, because that was the perfect. I'm all about timing, and just like the Facebook Russia Twitter thing, that could have been ahead of its time. I feel like before, because remember, BLM hadn't been a huge movement yet. It hadn't popped off. I feel like there was plenty of time to respect Black art and Black culture. And I'm already like a white girl writing this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a song written by extremely talented dudes who happen to be a huge pillar in the Black community. I'm not going to I just didn't want a whole bunch of white bitches dressed in gold talking about how fun it is to rob a dude. Like, it felt fucked up.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't see this? Like, he's got her captive. Like, it just looks bad. So I remember having that argument with myself. Like, if they pick a white belt, I'm going to be so fucking pissed. Because I felt like it's just such a cool thing. It's such a cool song in general. Like, it wouldn't sound genuine. I hated rapping it because I had to rap it so they could learn it and record it all.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having a genuine fear. Like, I hope they don't use my voice. Like, they should take advantage of this, because that girl, I don't think she'd rap, but she could sing like a motherfucker. She's beautiful. She looked like Belle. And I was like, fucking yes. And they hired her. I believe her name's Natasha. And when I saw her in the Belle dress and heard her rap, I was like, that's Beyonce. Like, she's perfect. She deserves to be a huge star. Like, she's so good. First of all, she rapped amazing. And they did it justice with their casting. It was all like,
so did they end up, was the woman that they got in it, she was Black?
Natasha, she was a Black belt.
Oh, great. So you were able to, yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't even have, but that's what I'm saying. I didn't even have to argue with them or anything about it. I think I just made a note, like, make sure Belle's Black, because that would be dope. Yeah. Like,
yeah. And
what was crazy is, like, when I read the comments, I got a little teary eyed because people were like, fuck yes, we need an all Black remake of, and I was like, yeah. Cause, like, I agree, man.
Yeah. Why not, man? Absolutely.
I'm not trying to Rachel Dolezal or anything. So, like, I don't like, if I get the opportunity to rap, I take it, but I also try not to, like, I don't want to step on any toes. Like, if there's ever a situation where, like, I could elevate, like, basically not do a show so that a person, like a Black person or a person of color, like, gets to perform to, you know, get that chance. Like, I mean, I'm lazy as fuck. I'll give up any show, but, like, I'm especially willing to do that because that's one thing that I learned from the BLM stuff is I tried to pay attention to everything my Black friends were saying. And I didn't want to be like a white knighty woke, like, here's what I'm going to do with a list. So I just try to do it, like, just kind of try to elevate people as much as you can. If you can give an opportunity to someone, give it to someone who is deserving and maybe overlooked, and particularly a minority, like, whether it be a gay man or, like, a tiny woman, like a short lady, like, I don't know, like, just try to do something to help out people who maybe get overlooked in so many different ways. Yeah. And Yeah, that was something that I saw a lot of them saying, here's what you can do. So like, I haven't had many opportunities to like show that because I don't have a lot of power. But like, if I get a chance, like I always try to like make it a point to be like, okay, am I taking anything away from anybody or being disrespectful? Like with rap, I take that way more seriously than comedy. Comedy is easy because it's just talking.
Well, it seems great that with rap, you've had the opportunity to write for other people. Like you've been able to literally put your art out there so that other people can be performing it. So that's providing opportunities for other people. That's pretty great.
Yeah, and then the Belle and Bougie thing popped off. Everyone loved it. And my mom, the day I did cry was my mom. She teaches life skills. So she has a bunch of kids do like everything from like Down syndrome to severe ADD to like, just like total mute, but they'll like kick her in the tit every day. They're the sweetest kids and they love her and she loves the fuck out of them. And my mom comes up with the cutest arts and crafts for them to do. And they all love her. And then Miss Lisa, like they love her. And they would show her videos on their phones. And so my mom would be like, this is what the kids are into now. And my mom's really into BTS. So I think they probably like it and showed it to her. I don't know who showed her BTS, but she's addicted. And she told me that a bunch of them came up to her and were like, look at this video. It's so funny. And they showed her the Belle and Bougie video. And my mom was like, my daughter wrote that.
That's so awesome.
I was like crying. I was like, I did it.
Awesome.
But like, yeah, then I got to do the AI video after that, the second follow-up for Chick Bait. That did good. Like, and then like every opportunity I got came from the one before it.
Yeah.
So the rap thing, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how the fuck that happened. I didn't even know I could rap. I just know that, well, I knew because like the same Eminem song would come on and I could do the whole thing. And then people on the bus in high school would be like, whoa. And then like, shit, when Rap God came out, I was like, sliggity hibbity hibbity hip hop. I was just like fucking memorizing it real quick. But then you do that shit in front of 10 coworkers and all of a sudden you're God, you know? So like they were just building up my ego. My homies, like they'd listen to like, also from San Antonio at heart and then the country. So I kind of have this ghetto country bullshit going on. I've been trying to get rid of my whole life. And, I feel like the rap thing doesn't really help when it's not like a good variety. So I didn't really have that variety presented to me in a sound way till I moved in with Ryan and Cody. They showed me a lot of different hip hop I'd never heard before, like Doom, like MF Doom and Peanut Butter Wolf and just all these like I listened to like MC Chris and Eminem, like honestly a lot of white rappers. And then they showed me like I loved Ludacris. Honestly, he's my favorite though. But like Southern rap, Ludacris, Mace, P. Diddy, Ja Rule. You know what I mean? Lil Bow Wow, Big Bow Wow, Snoop Dogg, all the dogs.
Are you
NWA.
still writing like rap for other people now, or are you still are you performing it on your own, or is it mostly like?
So the pandemic happened. So before a project would take like a year almost. Like it took 6 months to do the first AI rap. That got us 30 million views, 28, something like that. The Belle and Bougie got like 500,000 on one platform and like a couple million on the other, like 2. Also got paid a flat rate for that. Fuck. Then, the third AI rap, same situation, flat rate, but, you know, also did very good. Got a couple thousand. And like, after that, I was like, okay, what's the next project, right? And there was something in mind, but they weren't really telling me. They were like, we'll get back to you. And they were also giving me kind of, not only giving me, but suggesting like, if you want to pitch something to us. So I was going to do a wrestling thing where it was like a wrestler versus a wrestler, just a straight up rap battle, but like popular ones from different companies. And they seemed to be interested. But then Corona happened. And so no one filmed everything. Everyone's stuck at home, right? And I was listening to this podcast, Your Mom's House, for a long time, and I adore them. And they're a real sick, fucked up podcast, very controversial. They say a lot of fucked up shit, but it's also very funny shit. And they do this thing where they do TikToks, like they play people's TikToks and they just make fun of them. and not the people necessarily, but the situations in them, the lighting, like, well, how did this happen? Sometimes they praise them, sometimes they boo them, you know, but all these people would submit music to them with like references that they do. They have a lexicon of references that they do at the show. They call each other mommy and jeans. And to this day, I say it all the time, like, what's up, mommy? Hey, jeans. And I noticed like they kept playing all these rappers. It's all dude rappers. Very good. A couple of synth bands, shit like that. About where they make songs about them. And I was like, I want to do a rap with every YMH reference I can think of from the first podcast to this one. Now, I believe they started in like 2007 or 2012, but I had listened to all 300 in the first month of the pandemic that I could get a hold of. Now it's at like 500 or some shit. I don't even know. They were like power rushing through them, but also I had to work from home for a lot of it. So I can knock out a podcast a fucking shit. So I heard every reference. I made basically not a soundboard, but a sound file full of all these little references. And I took a bunch of their TikToks that they played, the audio, and I made a hip hop song out of it. And I sent it to them and it fucking blew up. They put it on the episode. They played it like 3 months later on the Sopranos Kids episode with Jamie Lynn Sigler and Rob Eiler. And I got my SoundCloud explode. Like I got a fuckload of weird messages, but I also got a lot of supportive ones and got a shitload of followers on all my social media.
Nice.
And now like there's this group of like maybe 30 or 40 middle-aged fucking losers just like me who like listens to dick and fart humor and likes to watch fucking pimples burst going, hey mommy, just every day on fucking Instagram. And in exchange, I get $15 a month from DistroKid for the songs I write. And they've played a couple of them and they played them during their specials. And every time they do, I get a little check.
Wow. I feel like that was a good from the first one that got 24 million views and you got $100. I feel like you've made a new, you know, business plan with this. Pretty good, you know.
Down. Yeah, my business plan is the Benjamin Button.
No, but you're getting stuff
money.
But now you're getting stuff like per play as opposed to like a flat. The per play thing will always be better than
I
the you know, flat rate thing.
My boyfriend taught me the DistroKid thing. And then I had an idea where I was like, it'd be cool to take this old song that was on a record by Carrie Von Erich's brother, David Von Erich or Chris Von Erich before he died. Him and David, like they sang a song called My Dad'll Whip Your Dad because it's a wrestling family. I was like, it'd be funny if someone made that into a hip hop beat. And so Dylan, under my nose, sent it to DJ Z, this rapper guy that we know from wrestling who is also, or he's a DJ, but he's also a very famous wrestler now. But at the time he was kind of famous. He was in the indies, but he made the song into a beat and sent it back to us. And then we made the rap song on my SoundCloud, My Dad'll Whip Your Dad. And then this wrestler called Dan the Dad liked it. So he put it on his, like with his video over it of him doing wrestling shit. And then people were like, whoa. And I was like, holy shit. Like we love Dan the Dad. That's cool. And then the one of the Von Erichs, the kids, I think, the sons of one of the guys it's about, liked it. And I went, what the fuck? And it kind of like mini blew up among like our joke wrestling niche community. But now DJ Z, the guy who made the music, is in NXT and WWE. He's like he's a fucking big deal. Like his boss is Vince McMahon. Awesome. And it's crazy. It's like that guy made our beat. Like to me, that's more insane than any of the other shit. Like, that blew my fucking mind. I was like, I can't believe we got him to do that.
I feel like you're doing a really good job with the rap stuff to like make some sort of business connections, like, and like excellent use of creative writing. You know what I mean? Like you're like finding ways to like legit make money. I feel like writers are the least likely to be paid, but you're like finding new opportunities to get your stuff out there and make a little bit of money off of it. And that's pretty amazing.
Well, see, in high school, I did debate. And when I did Lincoln Douglas, you just talk at a normal pace. That's more like stand-up. But CX, cross-examination, you have to get as much data out of your mouth and on the record, like a court of law, as you can. And you have very little time to do it. So part of the training for debate, it's gotten way more insane, by the way. High school debate. Holy fuck. It's like some fucked up shit now. It's on a whole new level. It's like beyond dance bombs. It's fucked up. But when I was there, you had to learn spreading, which is speed reading. So our debate coach would be like, and this is a tiny 5-person debate team at small town high school. We helped create it. But our sponsor happened to be the only teacher in the whole county who fucking loved debate, did really good at it, was stuck in a shitty marriage where she had to live out there. It was like a champ. So she like was like, I'm going to mold you into champs. And it was very like, it could have been a Vince Vaughn movie. It was fucking crazy. But she'd be like, you're going to learn to speed read. We're like, we can barely read. We're from the fucking sticks, bitch. But she taught us. She was fucking mean as shit. And I'm not going to say her name, but I love her. She was evil, but I love her. She was like a Lucille Bluth, a lot like my grandma. But she taught me to fucking speed read really fast. But mainly speak, because that's what you're doing. You're reading it out loud for them. And I think that couple of years turned me into like kind of Watsky-ish. Like I like to rap fast. So that when I did finally write a rap with Ryan, it was slow. And I remember being like wanting to speed it up. So when I made Kicked in the Pussy, I made it really fast. I threw out all the fast references I wanted, and Holo, the Hobby Lobby one. And then Hobby Lobby, of course, fucking bans birth control, which sucks. So fucking cancel that song. And then I wrote the bitch face one about the teen mom. But then guess what? Janelle's a Republican who waves a gun around. So fucking cancel that song. And then guess fucking what? Oh, guess what? You can't kick people in the pussy anymore. You're canceled. That one. So like, I have to be out of my time, but not for good things. It's for like getting shit canceled.
Well, I
Like
mean, you'll find a new way. Now in the post-pandemic world, you're, still putting some rap work out. You can find a way to like, maintain your brand of, rough humor while also doing
Amy,
rap songs that aren't going to be canceled. You'll be fine.
I started a residency at Spider House last month for a monthly wrestling show that I started planning and booking 6 months ago, based entirely around the concept of Ric Flair and how badass he is, and called it the Woo Show. And Ric Flair got canceled 1 week before it started for pulling his dick out on a stewardess in 1987.
Oh my God.
I don't have good timing. We did the show anyway. And yes, Ashley helicoptered her dick at people because she was dressed up like Ric Flair. It was going to happen anyway. But the point is, I'm not sensitive to timing, and I always seem to fucking pick the I had a guy who was like, I'll sign you to a record deal. And he was a good friend of mine. And he said, send me all the shit this week. Let's start planning it. And that week he went to Mexico and he died falling off a pyramid.
Oh my God.
And he's a good friend of a lot of people in comedy. And it's very sad. And I cried.
Ugh.
But that says a lot, dude.
About your terrible timing? Yeah, that's rough. That is not great. That's not great at all.
I got the shit beat out of me the day before Moontower. That ended up working out fine. But regardless... Like, you know what I mean? It's just bad timing. So, like, now I'm trying to have good timing. It's so fucking hard.
Yeah, that's a tough situation right there. Oh, man. Listen, Kat, it has been wild. Such amazing, wild stories that you have shared with me about your experiences with comedy.
Well,
I really appreciate it.
Can we do a spitfire, like a quick round where just I get to ask you a couple of questions? You could just give me quick answers so that because I know you probably need to go, but I'm curious about some things.
Sure. Like on the record, the podcast, off the record? Oh, okay.
No, on it. Question.
Sure.
So you said you're Catholic, right?
Well, I was raised Catholic.
You were raised Catholic. You went to Catholic school too and shit, right?
Yes, lots of Catholic schools.
Did you learn in Catholic school how to look up a verse in the Bible?
What do you mean how to look it up?
Like they say John 3:16, and then you go, okay, that's here. and then recite it, and it's like, and then that means that this guy named John said it. Like, I mean, they explain that to you. Did you get that concept in Catholic school?
I mean, I did. I don't think I like truly spent that much time with the actual Bible until I was in college. Like even though I went to like CCD and like learned everything, they give you like workbooks and they tell you the gentle stories that they tell children. Yes. And then my high school was not really. My high school was a Catholic school with nuns, but I don't recall. There was one religion class, but it wasn't really like, hey, let's read the Bible. Again, it was just sort of like regurgitated stories of what's, what they want to tell you in that moment. And I feel like it was only in college when my religion classes became a bit more like heavy. They were in college. It was a lot more like analytical. Like you would open up the Bible and find the spot and then really read what it said and like talk about it like it was like literary criticism. You know what I mean? Like when you read a poem and you're like, oh, what does this mean?
Do you hear that?
Yes. What's that?
That's me fucking clapping because you just gave me a Sunday school answer, bitch. That is exactly what I was looking for. Me neither, dude. They never taught us that shit.
No.
I did not learn to physically look in the Bible for anything or how to do it or what to, like, because think about it. If I tell you open up a book, I say page 27, right? Imagine I tell you look up William S. Burroughs 412. Like what? And then I just hand you this book. Like that's not how books worked. As a kid, like you don't.
Sure.
So you have to learn that shit. Like it's in order by name, and this is what that represents, and here's how to get there. And
this is the chapter name, and then this is where you.
Yeah. And here's an easy way to remember the order. We never fucking did that in Catholic school.
No.
Ever. And at church, never learned it. And I remember asking once when I was in confession and getting scorned for it. Like, it was almost as if they didn't want us to look in there. So I think that's what drove me super into the Baptist, because that's all they're about is studying it, researching. Again, the debate background. I like learning things. I'm into true crime, evidence. I want to see where it fucking says this. They never taught us that. I don't remember doing that until high school and college.
No kidding. Realistically, right now, I'm more interested in the Bible than I ever was, but not to read it because I'm religious, but because I'm fascinated as a writer, as an artist, that this is a book written 2,000 years ago, and we're still talking about it. Like,
oh, dude,
the dudes that wrote that, good job, guys. You did it.
It's like Kurt Cobain. You know, that's why they call him Jesus, because you can't fucking shut up about him. Everybody loves him. I fucking love him.
Yeah.
He's a rotten tooth junkie who barely made music that he could stand. He could barely stand. But guess what? The music he barely made was fucking 1,000 times better than any of the shit out now. But then I look at Eddie Vedder and I go, are you an angel from heaven, sir? Screaming Trees, Temple of the Dog? Yes, please give me more. Free Britney? No, fuck that. Lock her up. Free Eddie, dude. Like, I love his voice. People will always remember specific bands and people that fucking super impacted them and shit. You know what I mean? And with the Bible, like, that's the reason all our parents are crazy. Like, that's the reason Trump put babies in cages. That's the reason why there are wars and people want to kill us and we want to kill them. Like, it's literally the reason a lot of our government is as fucked up as it is. It's a reason for a lot of problems, but it's also the reason a lot of sweet little abuelitas go to bed at night with a cleansed heart and they feel good and they're in a good mood. And it's also the reason, like, my grandmother, like, is happy. She likes singing the church songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's also the reason little kids kind of learn right from wrong when they're in the woods. And most of the teachings are very hands-on, like, shoot that deer, drag it back. I'm going to show you how to gut it. So, like, it's a chance to have a Harry Potter moment, but it's also somewhat believable in that We need a fear element to drive us as children. A lot of us would typically get that at home from our parents, but they still feel that they see that working and they go, let's use that with religion, you know? And there's an inclusivity and an exclusivity. There's cliques. There's everything we love. There's fucking dragons. There's a whore. There's a fucking beast. There's a pig that fucking throws itself off the cliff because it's got the devil in it. Listen, we've all taken Molly, dude. Like, we've all seen Sound Tribe Sector 9. Like, I'm just saying, like, the Bible is so fantastical and so crazy. It doesn't surprise me one bit that people still talk about it.
Yeah.
Just like Pearl Jam, just like Nirvana, just like people are going to be talking about fucking Bill Hicks forever because he did that crazy shit. He stomped around on stage and screamed cunt. He was the first to do it. That's crazy. People are going to talk about Michael Jordan because he's a short guy that did shit tall guys do. And he was really fucking good at it. And he had that good meme. Like, the Kardashians, they had big butts and they all look alike and they're connected to OJ. Boom, done. They're in. They're past. You know what I mean?
I don't know that any of these particular pop culture references will last for 2,000 years, but David
Cross,
maybe.
David Cross had an amazing stand-up comedy bit that I also wrote years later and then was told, no, that's David Cross. And I went, fuck. But he did it better. I remember writing this and then my buddy goes, oh, that sounds like David Cross's bit. I was like, what's the bit? It was the exact thing. And I was like, oh, fuck, I just watched that special. Like, I had literally just absorbed it, thought it was brilliant, and then was like, I'm a genius. No, I didn't write that shit. Never told it on stage, thank God. But, because that would be hacking. But I didn't know. Like, it was just like something that hit me so hard when he said it. He said the Bible's like the longest game of telephone ever. But if you think about it, like, we think that's ridiculous that in 2,000 years people will be talking about the shit I just mentioned. But I guarantee you there's going to be crazy shit I just mentioned that people are talking about in 2,000 years. Or we're all going to die in a meteor.
I mean, well, in 2,000 years, you and I will definitely be dead. But, you know.
I'll have a dinosaur head and a robot body. It's going to be fucking lit.
Ooh, I hope so. That would be
I'm
great.
glad somebody else felt like they didn't learn shit in Catholic school.
It really wasn't what I was there for. Like I said, my whole situation, I ended up going to all these Catholic schools, but that wasn't what I was going for. I'm not very religious, and neither was my parents. So I just kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like most of the people that I know that are religious either had a parent who was really religious and they were like, I like what that does for them, or it was the opposite. Like, their parents were like, I don't believe in God. And they were like, what my parents say is crap. I'm going to do something different, you know? So I don't know. I mean, I was just like, and the crazy part about it is the college that I went to is like super conservative, like crazy. And I'm very naive, like to the point where, cause I went to theater, you know, like I was in the theater department. I wasn't like hanging out with the politics department. I went and did plays. We weren't talking about the Bible in the theater department. Like, so I didn't know. There were all these people that were like, I felt very oppressed by the way that the religion was, you know, brought up. And I felt like these people were this way and that way. I had no I did not have that in my experience because I guess I wasn't paying attention or, you know, I wasn't focused on that. I was like, how can I be making more theater and hanging out at the theater at all times? Like, I was not interested, you know?
Thank fucking God you did not grow up in Texas. Because let me tell you something. Yeah. Let me tell you something, honey. In Texas, theater kids become Southern Baptists, and goddamn if they're not great at it. Because let me tell you what Southern Baptists are all about, hun. It's okay. So there's Southern Baptists. There's modern Southern Baptists. Modern Southern Baptist is like you could wear denim to church. There's actually a church in San Antonio. That's whole thing was like, it's the church you can wear jeans to. It's a mega church with a cool pastor who's kind of hot, kind of young. He can do a backflip, and a rock band sings at you about Jesus. And then all the theater kids get to go up there and pantomime about how they're not gay. And it is so funny. And then when you're done, you all get together and go, we're not gay, right? Yeah. We didn't do anything bad. Yeah. I'm not high. You're not high. We're not high. And then you all just go, praise Jesus. And then you go home and you live your life. And it's all acting, baby. Because they don't let you do shit. You dance, you put your hands up, you love God, you recite your verses.
Yeah.
And it works out so great because all theater kids want to do is shine and have a little structure.
Yeah.
And to be recognized for memorizing shit.
Yeah.
And that's all the Baptists are about. And the recognition comes in the form of potluck, so they get you real fat, and letting you have a free Bible, which they then use to indoctrinate you. And then before you know it, you have 20 free Bibles. You got 50 t-shirts with the Reese's logo that say Jesus on them. You're wearing bracelets. You're listening to a ska band sing, "You are the devil and the devil is bad." Hey, which is a great song and the W's rule. But I didn't need to hear that shit when I'm sitting there trying to get fingered on 9/11. Fuck that.
Oh my God.
I'm so glad you didn't get sucked in, because I'll tell you what, it's goddamn fun and it's scary.
Oh my God. That's so crazy. Kat, thank you so much for being on the podcast. You have been hilarious and great and told me the craziest stories. I really appreciate you.
Hey, listen, God bless you. Go with Jesus. Zoroastrianists. That's our next step.
There we go. There we go.
Let's do it. Let's drink period blood in a lake of fire together, sister. Fuck it. Fuck it. If you've been listening up to this point, hello, listener. This is Delilah in the morning. If you've been listening up to this point, I want you to email me at Versace Kolache raps@gmail.com. Or Instagram. They're both the same. Versace Kolache Raps. Versace spelled how it is. Kolache spelled how it is. Raps, all one long word. Email me and tell me you listened all the way to the end. And then I'll send you free merch. I'll send you stickers.
I love it.
And then I can tell Amy how many of you really love her. And if none of you respond to this in the next couple months, I'm going to lie to Amy. I'm going to tell her I lost a lot of stickers that day.
Thanks for listening to Yes But Why Podcast. Check out all our episodes on yesbutwhypodcast.com or check out all the content on our network, HC Universal, at hcuniversalnetwork.com.